Let's see here. Anything, Devin? Are we live? Can you tell?
I don't see anything yet. Because I'm on the
Oh,
page.
yes, we are live. I see it coming. Yay, we made it, guys.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of me looking at the phone. Okay, so there's a really long delay.
Okay. Let's see here. You know, the internet is definitely been running slow. It's been running slow on my end.
I don't see anything yet.
So, Devin, can you turn off the volume on your phone?
I did.
Oh, okay. I was like, I was hearing it. Oh, wait.
I was just making sure it was working, and then
That's it. I'm good. Okay, great. We have people watching. If you guys, again, sorry about that. We had some technical difficulties. I think there's a very long delay from when we are talking to when you hear it. I do think the internet is probably being overtaxed right now with everybody doing their social distancing and staying home. I know it's been a little slow in our area, and that's what they're reporting it to be from. So if you guys don't mind giving us a thumbs up. Oh, thank you, Teresa. That lets us know you're here. Yay. We are so glad you are here. So let me just take it from the top now that we've got ourselves together here. Again, I'm Lisa Lisson with Are You My Cousin? This is the weekly Facebook Live that I host. And this is Devin Noel Lee. She is part of the Family History Fanatics and a very dear genealogy friend of mine. We actually met through Genealogy. I honestly don't even, how did we meet, Devin? It was, we knew each other online.
Yes.
Long before we met, actually.
Yes.
In person.
In person. That's right. Yes. Because we met in person the last year at Roots Tech. And, you know what? I think we met in the Genealogy Business Alliance group. If not, I've just been stalking you for a while. It's all good.
You know what it was? I think it was the Genealogy Business Alliance group. And I then asked I pitched a video to be on one of your videos, your early YouTube videos.
Yes.
That's how we got to know each other.
So, that's right. Yeah. And then we did a collab together, the 1890 census collab. That was super duper fun.
Yes. That's right. We've done some collaboration guys together. We've done quite a bit together, and here we are.
Yeah. Lisa's my bestie.
Oh, thank you. So we have a lot of fun together. That is for sure. Before we get to talking about Devin's latest book, what I really wanted to remind you guys of, over on the Are You My Cousin website and blog, I know that the world has kind of shifted dramatically lately, and I don't take that lightly. I don't think any of us do. But I think from a blogging standpoint, from my standpoint at Are You My Cousin, I'm really going to stay the course for you guys. I think a lot of us are doing more genealogy. We have more time. We're home. I think I have seen people mentioning there's that desire to connect with family a little bit more, maybe take on some projects that we haven't taken on before, because now we actually have a little bit extra time to do that. So I'm really just going to kind of stay the course, guys, with Are You My Cousin? Look for those weekly blog posts to come out. Watch your emails for the weekly newsletter, the Facebook Lives. Hop over to the YouTube channel, because I am putting in new videos each week, 2 a week. And just so you know, if any of you are members of genealogy societies, I know that you're not able to meet right now in person, but I actually do offer virtual. I have that ability to do virtual lectures for you guys. So if you have that interest, if your society has that interest, going forward in the future, please contact me, and I'll let you know, what types of things I talk about and how that might work for you guys. So just to put that out there for you. All right. Hey, Patricia and Mary's here as well. Thank you guys for joining us. So, all right. So I have Devin here today, and Devin is not only is she a YouTuber with her husband, Andy, but she's also an author and has written some fabulous books. And one of the reasons we wanted to get together is because Devin's latest book is called Downsizing with Family History in Mind. And I've been seeing lots of people, Devin, on Facebook talk about cleaning out their closets. It's time to clean. So they're doing all these projects. And what a timely time to sit and talk about it, because you're an expert in that, much more so than I am. Because I'm hesitant to get in there and start sorting through my stuff, my family history stuff, because I'm afraid I'll actually get rid of something that I really should have kept. So we're going to be talking about some of those strategies with Devon. And as we go through, if you are absolutely welcome and encouraged to put any questions you have for Devon in the comment section. I'll be monitoring those for her. I don't know, Devon, if you can see the comments or not.
I actually can see the comments. It's great.
Oh, okay, great.
See a lot of our friends there, mutual friends, Jen and Dave and
hey guys. And there's Martha. I know Martha well, and Lynn. Yeah. Oh, Lynn, fellow North Carolinian.
Awesome.
Perfect. So yeah, if you have questions as we go along, guys, feel free to ask them. All right, Devon. So one of the things I know when your book came out, I don't know if you have a copy close by, hold it up. It might be backwards in the camera, but
it's around there somewhere.
And then one of the things that you did that you said was that you had moved, do I have this right? 15 times over 30 years. Did I get that right? That is crazy. That is crazy.
Well, my family, my parents, they were renters. And so when you're in the renting culture, you don't have a permanent home. And so that was one thing. And then I went to college and I rented and I didn't stay in the same place. And then Andy and I have had 5 children in 4 different cities in 3 different states. Wow. And we've lived in 4 states. And I know many people, they say, oh, that's nothing. Yeah, but every time you move from one place to a new place, even if it's just across town, you're going to lose something.
Yeah. I get that. So part of what you talk about in your book are some of the biggest obstacles that people face when they're downsizing, or if you know, in this time period, if we're staring at that closet knowing we need to capture some space and need to downsize that collection. So what kind of keeps people from actually doing it?
Well, I want to talk about 3, but I invite you guys who are watching, join the conversation. Tell me, what are your biggest obstacles to downsizing? In my experience, the first one is time. Unfortunately, we don't think about it when we have a lot of times on our hands. We often think when we have no time on our hand. And the last thing you want to do is to be faced with a situation I had. When my mom passed away, I lived in a different state. And I had to come in, organize her funeral, greet all the grieving people, plan the funeral. Organize and plan. Yeah. Plan the funeral, go to the funeral. And oh, by the way, clean out her apartment. And since she was a renter, it's not like I had a long time period. And I had 5 small children, so I only had the weekend. So really, I had an hour to clear out my mom's apartment. Wow. And time, we don't have the luxury of time when we get around to it. So I made a lot of mistakes, and I don't want other people to go down that path. And so the first obstacle is time. Sometimes you have so much time that you don't use it wisely, or you have no time. You have a weekend. I have lots of friends whose parents have passed away, and they were told, you have a weekend to clear this out because we're putting it on the market. I'm like, I don't think you can get it on that fast. But whoever was in charge said, get it or it's gone. And so, yeah, time is your biggest obstacle because you think about it when it's too late. So what do you think about that?
I agree. I think when we have too much time, we think, okay, I've got time to do it. And then we never sort of get to it. I like what Katie said in the comments. She said her biggest obstacle is energy.
Right. For sure. Yeah. And that will actually relate to my 3rd obstacle. So let me talk to you about my 2nd obstacle, and then I'll tie the energy back in. The second one is that we don't plan, or we fail to plan. And so if we have a good plan going into downsizing, we can be extremely successful, and we can make good decisions. Because you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to do this right. Well, that's because you don't have a plan. And try to think about baking a recipe. Now, no, I do not bake anything unless I have a recipe, because that's my plan. Those of you who know how to bake without a recipe, you guys are angels and geniuses in my book, because I can't do that. But when we go into downsizing, we have to have a plan. And so one of the obstacles is, where in the heck am I going to get that plan?
Mhm.
Well, I can help you out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're
And-
right. The plan.
Mhm.
That's
And-
overwhelming, actually, to think about. I need a plan, but
Well, you wrote the book, The Genealogy Planner,
yeah.
right? And so we know as genealogists, when we have a plan, we're more successful in our research. So plug for the planner.
You're right, because I always tell people, genealogy friends don't let other genealogy friends research without a plan. And it's really, I mean, it's the same thing. It's exactly what you're saying, is that if you don't use the plan, you're going to end up down those rabbit trails or off the tracks.
That's right. That's right. And then the third thing, and then Debbie actually mentioned a new one. I'll talk to that in a moment. But let's go back and pick up Katie's with the energy. It's actually judgment. Okay, so we don't want to make the wrong decisions, and also it's sentimentally overwhelming. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely.
So if you don't plan to give yourself time to process your judgment, then you're just going to give up. Then you're not going to have enough energy. And so those are the three biggest obstacles that I can help you out. And then Debbie was talking about a not enough space. Oh, I hear you. But I don't want people to do what I had to do when I did my first downsizing, because my husband is very much a minimalist, and my parents were pack rats. And so when we first got married, we had a tiny rinky-dink little apartment. Loved that place. It was very affordable, but it was just really, 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 really small. And so my husband's like, we're going to go to your home and we're going to gather all your junk and we're going to bring it over. And we say junk lovingly, so don't anybody think I'm being mean. That's just, I don't know where I picked it up. I had stuff, things, collections, possessions, whatever. So we went and got all this stuff, and he's like, whoa, this won't fit in our little Saturn 4-door car. I didn't have my truck. What are we doing here? So we pulled everything out on a Saturday morning, early. And what do you think started happening? Saturday morning.
You had a yard sale.
People thought I was. Yes.
Thought you were having.
And you know what was so sad? I really didn't have anything worth selling. It really was all this sentimental stuff. And that's one of our biggest hangups. And that goes to the number 3, that judgment, that inability to judge what is valuable, because we're so hung up on it with the sentimentality. So I don't want anybody to, I mean, you can use your lawn. If you don't have any space, you can make space work, I promise. So those are the 3 biggest obstacles that I know a lot of. I have mess. Katie, mess. Yeah. They thought I was having a yard sale, but no, I didn't have anything worth selling. But I got rid of so much stuff because I was very inexperienced in downsizing with family history in mind, that there are a lot of things that I made the right decision giving it away. But this kind of leads into maybe the next question you have. I didn't preserve the memory. And if I saved the memory, I could totally get rid of the thing. So I kicked myself for getting rid of my sticker collection. It was all organized and cute, and I had all arranged and everything, and I just tossed it out. But I can't share that with my kids of, the fun stickers that I really enjoyed as a little girl, because that was my passion, collecting stickers. So there you go. Those are the obstacles that we face. And the warning signs.
And big ones, yes. So we have these obstacles, but where should we start? So if we're ready to downsize, so where should we start?
Okay, so you really need to come up with a plan, and you need to know what your timeline is. It's never too early to start downsizing. But before you do anything, before I start taking all my fun books and my scrapbooks and tell me, Lisa, do you remember going to your grandma's house? What did it look like?
My grandmother was a really good housekeeper, so it was very well organized.
Right. Okay. And now think about your childhood home. Do you remember where your toys were, or where they weren't supposed to be?
Yeah, sure.
Exactly. Now, do you have pictures of all of that for your kids?
No, I do not.
Exactly. Most of us don't stop to think, why don't we photograph our rooms and our homes and our collections and our possessions before we get rid of them, because then we can maintain that memory, because those things aren't going to ever be back together again, and definitely not in that organization, especially if you're just doing a yourself move that you are personally downsizing rather than downsizing family members. So if you will just, before you do anything, take a picture or video, I mean, just pan and zoom a video of the area you have, and then it's going to make things a lot easier. So that's where you start. You photograph what's there. That's an
amazing tip. I would not have thought. And really what I would love to have would be photographs of like the rooms in my grandmother's house, or, you know, I would not have never thought about that.
Exactly.
What a good place.
Well, it came to me because when the next thing you want to do, depending on your timeline, is to begin digitizing your possessions, because it's a lot easier to get rid of things if you have preserved it digitally. And I was going through my mother's photo album and I went, oh, that's right. She had this salt and pepper shaker collection. And I remember during her first downsize, do you want my salt and pepper shaker collection? And as a very bad daughter, I said, heck no, I don't want your dumb. So I know I was really bad. I'm so sorry. But I didn't want, I barely had room in many of our first places where we lived as a young married couple for ourselves, let alone anything extra. So I was being smart, but I could kick myself for not having her photograph her salt and pepper collection or her china cabinet, or the list goes on, and all the things that I wish I'd taken pictures of. And you know, I had moved away when she started downsizing, and I didn't take pictures of her rooms. And she had a colorful house. Like when they finally bought their house, I had actually moved to college. And so I didn't really live there. It was their house, my mom and dad's. And she went hog wild crazy because she didn't have to have white walls anymore. And I can't remember what colors all the different rooms were because we didn't take a picture. Right. So yeah, take a picture.
That is fantastic. So when you get your pictures and after you've digitized, I mean, I think one of the things when I think about trying to downsize or kind of get a handle on like all the stuff that I had, because I inherited it from everybody in the family, and is really, you know, do I need a lot of tools for that? And what kinds of tools does it need to be archival and all of that? You know, I mean, I worry, I'm like, okay, is this going to like break my bank trying to to store this stuff now?
Right. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about, what do you need in order to downsize and preserve things? Well, the first thing you need, believe it or not, is you need a reference table. So I have videos on my YouTube channel about making surname tables. So I want you to list out your 62 ancestors, your surnames from your 62 ancestors. They take you back to your fourth great grandparents, and then make a decision. So if you're downsizing somebody else, you're probably only going to absorb the names that you are actively researching. And then you're going to give away everything else. Now, we're not going to toss it out yet, sort of. Hold that thought. But we're going to, with those 62 surnames, we're going to narrow it down to the people that we actively research. And then we're going to give anything else that's associated with these other surnames that's probably valuable information, but it's not genealogy gold if it's in your home. And it will probably, here's the thing. Your family is probably filled with a lot of people who aren't genealogists, and they're going to see your stack of stuff, and it might be organized, which would be great, but they're going to take your stuff and throw it outside and start a bonfire. So we don't want that to happen. So you're going to narrow down to the people you're actively researching, and then you're going to find new homes for everything else. So that first tool is actually, it's totally free. It's free. Get your charts out and make your name, and then highlight the names. That way, if you're working with a partner and they say, hey, I have this thing for the Lynch family, I go, oh, it's on my chart, but it's not in my highlighted spot. We're going to find a new home for that. Okay. So that's the first thing you're going to do, because here's the other thing. Why organize and spend money archiving stuff that's not going to stay in your home, right? We're going to be frugal about this. So the next thing you want to do is, again, come up with your action plan and your timelines. And here's the dirty little secret. I came up with a 1 hour, a 1 weekend, a 3 to 6 month, and a 6 to 12 month time plan to put into the book, that my downsizing books. And it organizes step by step, or at least gets your brain thinking, how am I going to do things? Because the more time you have, that's going to depend. Okay, am I going to invest in scanning equipment? Or am I going to outsource it? Or am I just going to ship it off to an archive? So what you choose you get next all depends on how much time.
All right, so Anna had a question about saying her kids didn't want any of her pictures or genealogy papers. What should she do with them? Toss them. Don't toss them.
Okay, so
Again.
So what should you do? Again, make sure that you are keeping the ones that are you're actively researching, and look for other genealogy researchers who are working on those family surname lines, and say, hey, I have these pictures and papers. Would you like them? If you can't find a researcher, and we could talk to how you go about that in a minute, then look for archives, historical museums, genealogy societies, local libraries, depending on what your collection is, historical museums. I don't know if I said that before, but you're looking for archives, libraries, museums, genealogy societies in the places your ancestors lived, or there's these things called special collections. So let's say you have World War I memorabilia, letters, clothing, so on and so forth, pictures, diaries. Well, there'll be a collection around the country that would be, you have to call ahead, that may be interested in your collection. There are places where there's a university that recently some friends donated some stuff to them, and they were focused on early women business women in Chicago, but it wasn't in Chicago. It was in the state of Illinois, excuse me. It was in Illinois, but if you looked for that special collections, then they were very interested. You have to start looking, but you have to have time. Like, you got to start now if you're going to farm it out. Otherwise, the default is to scan it, keep just the best quality pictures and the original records in a small container, and then your family may go, oh, that's our papers, we'll keep that because it's a small box, a small container of stuff, and then the rest you're going to have to part with painstakingly. But that's the point. We're talking now so you guys can plan. And that's what you would do.
That came up, and Anna, this might help you, is Devin made the comment about things that you don't necessarily want to keep or don't need to keep with you, or notes maybe that are no longer needed. Local libraries where your ancestor lived are excellent places, because a lot of times they will have vertical files, and that's exactly the type of information you can find in a vertical file. I actually have an article. I'll drop the comment. I'll drop the link in the comments after this is over. The article on vertical files, but I find things like genealogist old notes that are there that they didn't want to get rid of, but no longer needed, or for whatever reason the family donated them. So that might be nice. Oh, June, you just made my day, hon.
Hey, June, glad to see you. So the other recommendation I have for the women who said my children don't want it is scan it and then put it into book form, because people like stories, and they like photos that have captions and then stories with them. They were likely pass on a book, because I have a book called the Uncle Moot, An Unusual Man, or something, whatever. This book actually survived drowning. The book drowned in the flood that followed Hurricane Harvey, because it was at my library on display and the library flooded. But that book has been passed down since 1975. I know that's not a long time period, but this guy isn't closely related to me. But I love this book because it's a story of my Canadian ancestors. And so if you can get things in books, it's a lot easier to pass on a book, because somebody can put it on the shelf and kind of peruse it when they're stuck in isolation. So those are some of the different things. Again, you have to give yourself enough time to accomplish these goals, but that should help at least get your brain thinking, oh, okay, that's a possibility.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. I think you really tied it in with the stories, and stories people will latch onto. Stories are what get passed down, and so all right, Devin. Well, this is so much fun. I could talk all day on this, guys, but I definitely could take. So, Devin, tell us about your book and the special thing that you have for the Are You My Cousin readers out there.
Okay, you're gonna have to remind me if I don't.
I probably have to remind her. I didn't prep her on this, guys. So,
but I can tell you about my book. So my book
the book and the book bundle is what we'll go for.
Yeah. Okay, that's what you meant.
The bundles. I'm sorry. I probably should have been a little more. I'm going to drop the link in there.
Okay, forgive me. It's like really hot under these lights. So I keep playing with my hair. Anyway, so the book is called Downsizing with Family History in Mind, and it is written so that you don't make the same mistakes that myself and other friends of mine have made when processing your genealogy. So I'll teach you how to determine what things to keep, what things to donate, give you suggestions, just like we said here, of where to look for places to donate. And I'm also going to tell you how to throw things out. I know. That's hard for us genealogists. We don't like to throw things out. But remember, the most important part of downsizing is to preserve the family history. And if you have a lot of clutter in your family history, people are probably going to toss it. So not only do I give you the principles, but I give you action plans. There are, I teach you the action plan, and then I give you sheets where if you have a weekend, you go to that section, you've got your checklist. If you've got a weekend or 3 to 6 months, here's a checklist. A surname table is also in there, as well as your evaluation cheat sheet guide. Now, a lot of them are already in the book, but when you buy the book, there's a special link inside where you can get digital copies of all that so you can keep your book nice, and then you can use those cheat sheets. And what's really great about these action plans and reference guides is if you're working with a team of people, you can reduce the need for them to come and ask, what about this? What about this? What about this? Because you go look at the chart, and if you can't figure it out, then come and ask me. So that's what the book is all about. And then you get 2 other of our most popular books. One is called A Recipe for Writing Family History, the simple, fastest, easiest way to write a family history and get your draft done now. And the other one is DNA Q&A, real questions from real people about DNA and the answers to those questions. So that's the book bundle. Did I get it all?
Yes, you got it all. You have it all. I put the link to the book bundle there. And I actually, until the special goes on through the April 4th, and then if you purchase before the 31st of March, then actually you get a free book of mine, which is on thrifty genealogy, basically how to be a frugal genealogist.
Oh, what a great combo.
I'm frugal by nature, that's for sure.
For sure. Hey, do you want to address Stacy's question?
Oh, yes. She needs ideas on how to downsize her kids' toy room.
Okay. Now I've done this
a lot.
A lot.
You've done that probably more than I have. And more
recently. Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's the dirty little secret.
Yeah.
If you take things that you know that they're not playing with right now and stick it in a box and stick it in the attic for 6 months, kids are going to go, oh, what are you doing with my stuff? And you go, no worries. They'll come back in 6 months if you want them, but you're going to have to trade. Now, why are you doing that? That's not downsizing yet. You're teaching your kids to live on less. And believe it or not, they'll play with their toys more when they have less overwhelming collections in their home. And you grandparents, don't you go buy more toys until you talk to the mom about whether she has room for it or not. In any case, then after 6 months, you can swap it out. If they don't want those toys anymore, because they're like, Mom, you're right. I really have outgrown them. Or maybe they just want to play with it for a weekend and then they've stopped again. Then take a picture of the toys and then give them away. If they're in really good condition, you can try to sell them. But I'm always about time. I tend to just find somebody nice that I can give it to. So that's one of the ways I downsize the toys of the kids thing. And probably kids' papers. Kids make a lot of papers. Scan everything they bring home. Scan it. Don't keep it. scan it. And if it's like something really great, like award-winning artwork or a certificate they worked really, really hard for, or maybe that test that they started with an F and they got an A. Okay, a couple you can keep the physical copies, but scan everything else. And then at the end of the year, tell them to choose their favorite 5. And then you're going to delete all the other files. I know.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, because you can end up with a lot of files, definitely.
Right. I mean, we don't want to just make a digital mess from our physical mess, and then take those pictures and put it into a year in review book. And now you've got the paperwork, you got pictures, you got stories. See, I'm all about eventually getting to the end product of making a book.
I know, that's what I was just thinking. I was like, I really hadn't thought about that. And then I always kind of stopped short of that. I confess I haven't done that. I used to when my kids were little, Stacey, with toys. The way I did it was, I might box them up, things I didn't think they were playing with anymore, and then put them away, say in the attic or something, for a certain amount of time. And then if they didn't ask for them, then I would go ahead and just gift them to somebody else. But when I could, I tried to get the kids involved with it. It really depended on their ages and stuff like that. With that, but
sure. The younger they are, the more you have to say, hey, they're just gonna have a vacation.
Yes.
Your toys need a vacation, and then you're gonna trade them, and these toys are gonna go on vacation, and then you're gonna get these ones come and visit. So I had to use terminology depending on the age. And no, I did see someone say, save plastic toys. Now, yes and no. It depends on what the plastic toy was made out of. There are some Fisher Price toys that are still amazing after 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
But there's some toys that have lead in them, and they're just not really good to have around. They're actually a health issue.
That's a good point.
So when it comes to classic toys, make that decision. You don't have to throw all of them out. Just keep a small collection. So I have a collection of trains, and then the plastic, necklace beads. I don't know. They're really big, and we've been around forever. And
those pop beads?
Yeah.
Oh,
and then also the shape ball from Tupperware where you put the different shapes in. Yeah. So I have some of those, and it's one small box that's it's behind that wall right there. And I have it so when any little kids come over, then I have some toys and things. But the key is it needs to be a small container of those classic toys, like she said, to bring out for kids and grandkids and stuff like that. But Stacey's in the trenches with all those little ones. And
I know. Patricia says toys are in isolation. That's another really good one. Vacation, isolation. It's all about the terminology in some cases, definitely. So.
Yeah, for sure.
This has been fabulous, Devon. I know you've got more talks to give this afternoon, so we'll let you go here in a sec. But thank you so much for coming on. And guys, definitely check out their book bundle if you want. Again, it's a special pricing for the Are You My Cousin readers. So we want to thank Devon and Andy for doing that as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So
and we'll sign all of them.
Oh yes, yes. All her books, they'll be signed by the author. Now, what you get, the Frugal Genealogy book is an ebook, so I can't sign that one for you guys. But you're welcome to enjoy it for free. So anyway. All right. Well, guys, thank you, Devon. Thank you so much for coming. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop the questions in the box. We'll be monitoring the group later, or the page later, so we can see. Devon, if you think about it and want to pop the link to your YouTube video on surnames that you mentioned, the surname table, feel free to.
I'm going to make a note.
Yeah, drop that in there. People might enjoy that. And so anyway, all right, guys, I will see you next Thursday right here, and we will talk more genealogy. Have a great day, guys. Bye.
Bye.